Oh, that's good. Okay. Y'all come on in, come on in. If not, I'm going to go ahead and get started after I do my little meditation. Okay. Okay. So yeah, let me go ahead and get this going. Okay. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and do something. I need to grab something really, really quick, okay? Y'all give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. I need to grab something really quick. Had to get my stones. Okay, so welcome in everyone. If you here, introduce yourselves, say hi. If you catch the replay, just let me know you hopping in on replay. I have a visitor again, okay? Link, you want to say hello to everyone? Huh? Want to say hello to everyone? You just want to be by me, huh? Ain't that something? This is my grand dog, Link, okay? We call him Sir Benjamin Lincoln, okay? So, okay, Link, bye-bye. Night-night. Okay, night-night. Huh. Anyway, welcome everyone. This is Malik from Malik's Mystical Magic and Intuitive Consultations. I will be your astrologer tonight, okay? I am also a tarot reader, a numerologist, a practitioner, a spiritual advisor, as well as a healer, okay? I make chakra stones. I make chakra stone oils. So, nonetheless, you can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under Malik's Mystical Magic or Malik's Intuitive Consultations. Either or, okay? I have been asking for 50 followers on YouTube, and I have finally reached that mark today, okay? So my next live will definitely be streaming from YouTube, but this particular video here will be uploaded to YouTube too, when I'll apply the timestamps as well. So after you kind of go through this here, give me about a day to get everything time-stamped and uploaded to YouTube for for you to go back, because this lunation could play out up to 6 weeks, but between the 2 and 4 weeks for impact. But nonetheless, we're here to talk about this beautiful, auspicious, benefic, I would call it, full moon in Cancer, okay? And today we're going to kind of walk through what this is doing, what this moon is really doing, how it's going to play out, and how to work with it consciously. In addition, we're going to cover a few things, okay? We're going to cover what this full moon in Cancer is doing, why this lunation is supportive and benefic, the larger cycles that this moon is connected to, numerology, timing, and the energetic shifts, the Sabian Symbol, and what that reveals. The outer planets' influences shaping this moon, okay? In addition, we're going to do a little bit on what this moon is asking of us, how this moon unfolds over time, a real-world example of how lunar cycles play out. And we'll definitely discuss who will be mostly impacted by this lunation and how this lunation shows up by each rising sign, okay? After we conclude the rising signs, we'll do a closing and an affirmation, and we will be done, okay? So with that said, we're just going to jump right into it. The first and foremost thing is what this full moon is doing, okay? We got this full moon coming in tomorrow at 13 degrees of Cancer. The sun is also at 13 degrees of Capricorn, so they are opposing each other at this time. If I can get a natal chart here to give an idea of what I'm referencing. Okay, so let's see here. If we look at this natal chart, okay, this is Cancer right here. This is the moon in Cancer. Right across from Cancer is Capricorn, Mercury, Venus, the sun, and Mars. Yeah, all in Capricorn right now. So it's Capricorn season, and that's Pluto in Aquarius, okay? So Cancer and Capricorn is the axis, okay? And this activates, that axis, the axis, this full moon in Cancer activates that Capricorn Cancer axis, okay? So we're also going to, talk about what this axis kind of represents. Cancer is the moon, okay? And not only that, Cancer is ruled by the moon. That's about emotional safety, home, family, nourishment, instinct, memory. Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer, and that is where the sun is. So that is about structure, responsibility, long-term goals, authority, and sustainability. So this full moon in Cancer is not about choosing one over the other. It literally is about making sure that your emotional needs actually support your long-term stability instead of undermining it, okay? Now, what this full moon is doing energetically, I would say, is definitely bringing clarity around where you feel safe and supported. It would be highlighting some emotional patterns that are tied to home, family systems, work-life balance, responsibility versus over-functioning. So it will definitely be illuminating, what can no longer be emotionally carried if it doesn't support growth. So I would say this is not a chaotic Cancer moon. This is a regulated, grounded Cancer moon, okay? They call it the wolf moon, as in addition to this. So why this moon matters. This moon is in its home sign, okay? Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is in Cancer, so it's in its home sign. So emotions are clear. Okay, definitely. They're very clear. They're not distorted. With the sun being in Capricorn, that is literally asking what can actually last. And together with the sun and the moon, that whole entire Capricorn Cancer axis is saying, or asking, so to speak, what emotional foundation is strong enough to support the future that you're building. Because this moon is going to show what's ready to be sustained and what isn't, okay? And so now that we kind of understand what this moon is doing, let's look at the symbol, connected to this degree of 13 degrees and what it's telling us about the moment that we're in. So the moon is coming in at 13 degrees in Cancer, okay? So when we look at Sabian symbols, we always go up. So we're looking at 14 degrees of Cancer in the Sabian symbol, which is a very old man facing a dark space to the northeast. Now, how to understand this is basically Sabian symbols are not literal predictions. They describe the quality of time that we're moving through. So this image, or this, saying, so to speak, because I don't have the image, I didn't print it. It's about wisdom that's gained through experience, maturity, and accountability, as well as legacy and long-term responsibility. Facing the future, without illusion, okay? Because the old man in the picture of the Sabian symbol represents earned awareness, not age itself, okay? And that dark space, I will post it in the comments section so you can get a gist of the visual to the Sabian symbol, but the dark space in that image represents the unknown ahead, not danger, okay? So when we look at the directional meaning of northeast, when it's mentioned in the Sabian symbol, symbolically, northeast points to what lies ahead, okay? Your North Star, your future orientation, your North Node, centers of power or decision-making, and the responsibility of choosing a direction. And so overall, this Sabian symbol of 14 degrees in Cancer for this particular full moon is asking, what are you prepared to face now that you couldn't face before? Okay. Now, why this moon matters, okay? I would say why this Sabian symbol matters for this moon more so. This particular full moon in Cancer isn't about reacting emotionally. It's about meeting the next chapter with discernment. No denial, no panic, no rushing, okay? Just honest awareness and grounded choice. Okay, so now that the symbol tells us why this moment really matters, let's look at the timing of this moon and the larger cycles that it's closing and opening. And so from a numerology and cyclical timing perspective, the moon would be exact tomorrow, January the 3rd, 2026, okay? So we're going to look at the day of numerology. To understand where we are in the larger cycle. So we got January, which is 1, okay? That's about beginnings and initiation. Day 3, number 3 is a number that is about expression, creativity, and communication. And the year 2026, that is equates to 2026 equals a 10. It's take the 0, it's 1, because there's no value in 0. Okay, and so we are in a universal year 1. So this full moon is a universal year 1. It's occurring in a universal year 1. Because we just wrapped up 2025. Now, from a patriarchal calendar system, of course, January 1st is the new year. But from an astrological perspective, the spring equinox, the first zodiac, Aries season, March 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there, is literally the astrological first year, okay? But nonetheless, I digress. Do your own research on that, okay? But here's the key. We're just exiting, you know, that year 9, which is about completion, closure, release, and finishing long cycles. As we enter into this year 1, universal year 1, we're looking at new identity, fresh direction, leadership, and initiation. So this moon, full moon in Cancer, sits right at the threshold, literally right at the threshold between 2, the year 9 and the year 1, okay? Because we're just 2 days into the 2026 year cycle. Now, what that's meant for this lunation, this full moon is not asking us to rush into something new, okay? It's asking us to emotionally close out a long chapter, release what doesn't belong in the next cycle, and prepare internally before initiating externally, okay? Because you don't start a chapter until the last one is truly finished. Now, this kind of explains why this moon feels reflective, grounding, preparatory, emotionally clarifying, I'd say. And so why this matters, this numerology supports everything else that we've discussed, you know. In addition, Jupiter is in retrograde right now, so that's inner alignment first. And with this Cancer moon, that's about emotional closure. With the sun being in Capricorn, that is about future-oriented structure. So a lot of us are working on long-term goals, are working on, you know, systems and structures and order and, you know, finances, career, leading, doing something like that in a Capricorn way. And so this moon definitely kind of, I would say, it helps us finish well, you know, so that we can begin clean. So a lot of us are going through emotional purging, physical purging, spiritual purging, a lot of detoxing that is going on in order to get us energetically ready for this new year, okay? So as we continue to move from the numerology part of this, the Sabian symbol, we're kind of standing between cycles, okay? So let's kind of zoom out even further and look at the broader energetic shift happening collectively. I know I did a video prior where we discussed the year of the snake for Chinese astrology, as well as the universal year 9, and kind of broke that down into more detail as to the meaning of such. And so I'm just going to briefly skim through what this means as far as, you know, what this new year is, universal year 1, and then look at the Chinese astrology, because they all correlate. It's the same kind of energy there. And so we're transitioning, okay? This full moon here doesn't exist in isolation because it sits at a major energetic handoff, okay? So 2025 was the year of the wood snake as far as Chinese astrology. And now 2026 is the year of the fire horse. Okay, so this moon helps us close one cycle emotionally before we move into the next. Now, what the wood snake represented in 2025, if you can just kind of think of your life or the collective, it was about inner transformation, shedding old skins, discernment and strategy, quiet growth rather than visible action. Okay, and that was a theme. Those were the themes, so to speak, during 2025. As far as the wood element, it emphasized patience, long-term development, and more so intentional pruning. So the snake prepared us internally, okay? Now, as we shift into universal, or the fire horse Chinese astrology. What this fire horse is bringing for 2026 is movement and momentum. If you can think about the snake, okay, the snake was shedding, right? If you could think about the horse is about speed, momentum. And then we have a fire horse, which fire is speed and momentum, right? So we're about to get going, okay? Not only are we looking at movement and momentum, courage and visibility, the embodiment of truth and forward motion. And so the fire element kind of amplifies your confidence, your expression, your leadership, as well as your action. And so the horse moves literally what's ready, okay? And so why this matters for this full moon, this Cancer full moon acts as a bridge, emotionally closing the snake year, stabilizing before the horse accelerates, which is helping us move forward without dragging the past with us, okay? And this aligns perfectly with the shift, you know, from 9 to 1, because in numerology it's 1 to 9, okay? 9 is the completion, then you start over with the 1. So that is literally where we are right now. And with Jupiter being, this perfectly aligns also with Jupiter, because that's retrograde and that's inner readiness first, right? And the Cancer moon's needs for safety before movement. So if you kind of put that together, you know, literally it acts as a bridge, because the horse moves what's ready, okay? And the snake is what's, the snake prepared us internally. Now the horse will be moving us towards what we're ready to, you know, take advantage of. And this Cancer moon is literally the bridge between the two, okay? So that's how that aligns. That's how I see it. Now, the key takeaway from this, I would say this moon is not about rushing. It is about making sure that the emotional foundation is solid. The body and the nervous system are ready. The next move is intentional, okay? And so I think those aspects are important. And maybe I'll get into more discussion on the fire horse for 2026 in more depth. But for now, we have so much to cover that I want to make sure I just kind of briefly discuss it. Definitely research these things on your own so that you can gain inner, you know, knowledge and, you know, for your own understanding as well. Now, let's go into, you know, with that broader context in mind, let's go back to the astrology and look at the planetary influences that are shaping this moon here. We got the outer planetary influences, okay? And I would say these are the influences that are supporting this moon. And I would think moon in Cancer is really in a good position because it's at home, right? It's in its home sign. So the emotions are clearer, more instinctive, and easier to regulate. And this is about emotional intelligence, not emotional overwhelm, okay? Now, in addition to that, this moon knows how to take care of herself here as well, okay? Of course, we know we each embody feminine and masculine energies, male, female, doesn't matter. And so this is a feminine energy as far as moon, okay? The sun is masculine. So with this moon here, it's a water sign and it's emotional. It's receptive, shall I say, okay? And so I will say really quick that as far as this moon, I know a lot of clients of mine have been kind of experiencing some symptoms, so to speak, you know. And so with this moon being in Cancer, your feeling of safety is not kind of related to your home, your family, related activities such as cooking. You may be prone to emotional fluctuations, sorry about that. But you should learn to kind of forgive and forget in order to avoid depression from thinking too much about things. But it's really important that our perception of the world, you know, can be very subjective. So we need to try to create a certain distance without being bitter, okay? And due to our rich emotional manifestation, we can create a real sense of belonging in the world during this time. So we have to be mindful because we probably have been feeling some, I would say, stomach issues, mucus related issues because we got water, okay? Ovary, womb, okay? the chest area, lymph nodes, so hormonal things. And these organs are now, at this moment, more sensitive, you know. So you really want to take care of them, more care, okay? Definitely anyone who is having any surgical operations, it is not recommended, strongly not recommended during this particular full moon in Cancer. So I hope that you do your research, talk with a spiritual advisor, an astrologer, or whatever. Look at your natal chart if you have any major surgical scheduling between, I would say, the next 4 days. Yeah, 4 or 5 days. You really got to be careful because this is a strong full moon. Okay, so let me get back into this. So, as I mentioned before, with the moon being kind of, you know, dignified in its home sign, Jupiter also is exalted in Cancer, but Jupiter is retrograde. And so this is one of the strongest placements right here because these themes include protection. Jupiter is about protection. Both Jupiter and Cancer is about protection, growth, abundance, family, emotional fulfillment, okay? And this growth that is meaningful. This is the growth that is meaningful, not excessive. And then we have the Moon-Jupiter relationship where the Moon and Jupiter are kind of within working orb together. They're kind of close together. So the Moon kind of helps moderate Jupiter, okay? And Jupiter kind of expands and the Moon kind of regulates that. So there's some good communication between the two. And this creates growth without chaos. In addition, I like. Now, and something I'm going to do different that I normally don't do is listening to many astrologers and wanting to get into the fixed stars because they do mean something and they're in my apps. And I just haven't really, you know, given it time to focus on fixed stars. But this particular lunation is going to be activating the dog star Sirius, okay? And I did print out a fixed star chart here, and I want to show you where that is. So we have, okay, so the moon is here, okay, and right here is Sirius. No, yeah, right here is dog star Sirius. So it is activating dog star Sirius, and that is important because Sirius is associated with protection, visibility, guardianship, honor, and responsibility. So that adds that extra layer of support and recognition, not any volatility, okay? Let me see. I think I went in my business group to do my live. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Some technical problems. Hold on, let's see it. I want to make sure I turn it. Okay, hold on. Can I? No, let me turn it off. Yeah, give me a second. I want to make sure because I think I went into the wrong area. And it's okay because you can catch it after I'm done, but at least, let's see. Let's see, I'm 30. Oh, baby. That's okay. Y'all, I'm going to get this technology to figure it out. My kids said they're going to help me. Yeah, they're going to help me. Okay, we're going to get it together. One day, I am not able to see my people. Okay, let's see here. This is crazy. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay. Comment. I don't know if I did that. I'm going to try this again. And if not, I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to get back into it. Okay. So we're going to keep that like that. Okay. There we go. All right. So basically, getting back into it. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay. So with this fixed star, is definitely, I was going to repeat, with Dog Star Sirius, and this moon, you know, here, this moon in Cancer is activating this fixed star, okay? And so this is about honor and responsibility, guardianship, visibility, and protection. So this is more support and recognition, okay, that's being activated by these two, the star and the luminary moon. And so Venus, okay, as the moon's last conversation here. Now, before the moon fully engages Jupiter, it's going to connect with Venus. And Venus is bringing themes of value, worth, sustainability, enjoyment. So Jupiter receives Venus-informed emotional data, okay, and growth must be worth it to last, literally. That's the conversation that the moon is having with Venus, okay? So that's important. Now, why all of this matters, this full moon is not pushing us to overextend. It's really asking us to grow what nourishes us, protect what matters, expand in ways that really feel emotionally sustainable. And so now that we have a good idea or understand, you know, why this moon is supportive, I want to briefly acknowledge the broader backdrop that some astrologers are referencing and then kind of move forward, okay? And so before we kind of get into what this moon is asking of us, I think it's important to kind of briefly acknowledge the broader backdrop that some astrologers, I would say, are referencing around this lunation. So you may hear themes such as home value and property, you know, long-term changes unfolding over months, or expansion that's connected to Jupiter's influence. But that framing makes sense because Jupiter is involved. However, I think it's really important to understand that this full moon isn't just about what could grow. It's about how that growth unfolds. In addition to that, this lunation is not a more is better lunation. It's a measured, conscious, emotionally regulated expansion. So while some interpreters might emphasize outcomes, we're here to focus on readiness, sustainability, and timing, okay? Because I think that's what allows growth to actually last, okay? And so with that context in mind, I think, you know, it's time to kind of get into this full moon and what it's really asking of us, okay? And so when we look at the skies, the cycles, and the context, You know, I think it's important to see what is being asked of us. And so that core ask with this full moon in Cancer is asking us to create some emotional conditions that can support growth. Okay? Because we have Jupiter and the moon in Cancer. So growth is Jupiter, you know. Emotions is the moon, okay? And so we need to do that, though, not through force, not through overgiving, but through just honest emotional alignment. And what this looks like, I would say, releasing emotional obligations that drain stability, stop carrying responsibilities that doesn't belong to us, choosing nourishment over depletion. Also honoring emotional needs without guilt, because growth cannot happen where safety doesn't exist. And I think that's very important that we need to understand that, okay? And so with this Cancer, Capricorn axis, okay, the sun in Capricorn, the moon is in Cancer, opposite, so that the whole axis is being activated somewhere in your chart. Wherever your Cancer is, across from that is your Capricorn, or vice versa. But that whole entire axis is what's the focus is right now, okay? And so the Cancer is asking, the moon in Cancer is asking, do I feel safe? Okay? And Capricorn, the sun in Capricorn is asking, is this sustainable? Whether that's a job, relationships, a pattern, you know, whatever that is for you in your life, those are the questions, you know, that the sun is asking and the moon is asking right now. And so this moon asks us to answer both questions, because if something feels emotionally comforting but then undermines long-term stability, it's up for review. If something feels demanding but doesn't nourish you, it's also up for release, okay? Full moons are about releasing, letting go. And so what this moon is not asking, it's not asking for emotional drama. It's not asking for sacrifice at our own expense. It's not asking us to rush decisions. This is about measured emotional truth, okay? And so I would say you can offer definitely yourself an opportunity to think about what needs are there, okay, that you have to feel safe in order for you to grow, okay? That could be a question that you can offer yourself while you're going through your particular lunation, ritual, affirmation, intention, manifestation, however you label it, okay? And I think that question alone is enough to work with this moon. This is not a moon of too much, okay? But alignment and making sure that what you align with is sustainable and has that long-term potential to it, okay? And so now that we understand how this unfolds in real time, let's look at the aspects that this moon is making and why that timing matters, okay? So for this particular lunation, the order matters because the moon is going to engage Venus, okay? So the moon here, let's see, the moon here is going, that red line going all the way across is going to engage Venus. That's Mercury, that is the sun, and that is Mars, okay? So you see that? Okay. So now we know that the moon becomes full opposing the sun, okay? And we know that the moon is opposing the sun as well, okay? The moon then interacts with Mars as it continues to rotate counterclockwise around the astrological wheel. Once it gets here, Mars is going to hit Mars eventually too, okay? And then finally the moon moves towards Jupiter. And that you will see taking place down here. The moon moves towards Jupiter as it goes that way, okay? So this kind of tells us something very important, you know. The sequence, I would say, from Venus, Sun, Mars, and Jupiter Jupiter first, okay? And Jupiter is about values, worth, desire, and sustainability. Sun is next. That's about awareness, illumination, and clarity. And Mars is after that. That's about action, response, and boundaries. And Jupiter's last. That's about growth, meaning, and expansion. So this moon literally is asking us to decide what's worth it before we act, and act before we expand. Why this is an impulsive energy. That's why this is an impulsive energy, okay? We have to really take our time, okay? Decide what it's worth, okay? Before we act on it. And then act on it before we expand on it. I think that's very important when you look at that in a lot of aspects of life. Now, with this Mars opposition, you know, moon opposing Mars, that's about responding, not reacting, okay? So when the moon kind of interacts with Mars, emotions may feel activated, impulses may surface, okay? I know the moon hit a few planets of mine yesterday, and it definitely caught a sister off guard, and I had to get some things together, okay? I had to get back in alignment because, I mean, I didn't expect it to come the way it came, but nonetheless, it is a full moon and it's heavy. And then when it's in water, it's emotional. Moons are emotional, period. It's about the emotion. But when it's in water, it's even more emotional. But this is not a call, you know, to conflict. You know, it's a reminder to pause, respond consciously, and act with emotional awareness, you know. And I think I did that, you know, a little bit of that and a little bit of the other as well. But nonetheless, it had to get out, okay? Or unless I was going to implode inside. Nonetheless, Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is retrograde, so that's the timing, because timing is everything, okay? Now, with Jupiter here, Jupiter is about growth that unfolds inward first, with it being in retrograde. Clarity precedes reward. Expansion may feel delayed because it's in retrograde, but it's purposeful. So once Jupiter gets out of retrograde and goes direct, then that's when you'll see the external benefits of it, okay? But now that it's in retrograde, it's working from the inside out, okay? In addition to that, I would say that I think this is definitely why the results may begin within 2 to 4 weeks of the lunation tomorrow. The broader story can unfold over 6 months when we get to the new moon in Cancer, okay? But the momentum kind of increases after March 11th, right before the new astrological new year, okay? When Jupiter stations direct, March 11th. That's when Jupiter would go direct. So I would say this moon is not about instant outcomes. It's about alignment first, action second, expansion last. Simple. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now that we understand how this unfolds over time, let's talk about how consciously to work with this moon, because I think that's important too. A lot of people really have to be mindful of the particular lunation, the zodiac the lunation is in, and what is, you know, what's the appropriate manifestation to get the best reward or the best results from your manifestation. And that basically, for this lunation, I think it's very important that we work with this moon gently, not aggressively, okay? This is not a moon, the moon in Cancer is not a moon that asks for big moves or forced decisions. So it's best when you are observant first, you respond thoughtfully, and you allow clarity to emerge naturally, okay? And so we need to really pay attention to I would say over the next 2 to 4 weeks, we really need to pay attention to emotional realizations, changes around the home, work-life balance, or boundaries, okay? Also situations that ask you to choose nourishment over obligations, because these are the clues, okay? They're not commands, but they're clues. And honor our emotional needs without guilt. I think that's very important, because this moon is going to support rest, emotional honesty, tending to your personal space and reinforcing boundaries that protect your energy. And that's something that I had to do, carrying the emotional weight, the obligation, someone else's mess. And I just can't do that no more. For years and years and years of doing that, as my South Node is in Cancer, I had to put boundaries up to protect my health and my energy. And, you know, it's just come to that. You know, it was so hard to do prior, but it's so easy and needed to do because it got louder and louder and louder, and it just had to get done. But nonetheless, that is definitely what I think this moon definitely, you know, is asking us, is to kind of really take care of ourselves by resting and being honest with our emotions, and definitely tending to our personal space, okay? And setting those boundaries to protect your energy. Because this is about planning emotional stability, people, not chasing outcomes, okay? And so I would say observe what feels nourishing, and release what's draining you, and trust the timing, okay? And I think that would be enough in terms of how to work with this moon, okay? So to show you how this actually plays out in real life, I do want to give you a professional example, okay? So I think that's important because that's to help ground you guys and kind of let you know how lunar cycles work, especially Cancer lunations connected to Jupiter, and how that actually unfold over time. So during the last Jupiter in Cancer period, it was in 2013, okay? And so it's important to look back at that time, 2013, to see what was going on in your life as it relates to, you know, what happened in your life, okay? For me, I started a new job, a big job. I was a state auditor for the state of Tennessee for 9 years, okay? And that role provided stability, structure, and long-term security. Now, it's set across from Capricorn, okay? And I stayed in that position for 9 years. And this is very much Jupiter in Cancer works. It builds foundations that last. 9 was the ending of that cycle, and I let it go, okay? Or it let me go. Either way, it freed me. It gave me that liberation. And I put in my manifestation. It was so crazy because I worked on freedom. I put handcuff charms on my freedom chakra bracelet that I made. And I used that one day I will be out of here because I was working. I was doing good financially, but I was not living. Okay, I was not enjoying my personal life, so to speak, because I was so much on the road all the time. But nonetheless, that's how it played out with me with Jupiter in Cancer in 2013. Now we have the Jupiter in Cancer cycle in 2025 during June, actually June 25th to be exact. And during that Cancer new moon 6 months ago, for me, I was interviewed about my independent work, you know, and that was the seed, right? And so if you go further, in August 2025, I left my long-term job that I had because, you know, it was something that was confining me and not bringing fulfillment to me, okay? So I released an old structure in August of 2025. In December of 2025, exactly 6 months later, okay, I was interviewed again. And this time it was by a larger parent company that connected to original interview that I did in 2025 of June, okay? So that is an example, I think, that matters because nothing about this happened overnight. It followed a clear pattern. It was an initiation, a release, and a return that expanded better and more aligned. So that's how that played out with me when it comes to how Jupiter in Cancer tended to work, okay? Emotionally first, structurally second, and externally last, okay? And I think why this is very important because you want to look back 6 months, okay? Observe what was seeded at that time. What took place at that time? What did you start or plant? Okay, and then notice how that story is returning now 6 months later, often bigger and more aligned, okay? And that's why it's important that you take notes, and I'm a calendar freak, so I always jot down things so that when I go back and look at trends and see what happened the last time this planet was in this zodiac, I have a general idea of the themes that would be potentially occurring, okay? And so I say that all for you guys to kind of do your work and think back or look back to any record keeping that you might have to see what took place during those times. June 2025, all the way up until now, you know, what took place from the new moon in Cancer and now the full moon tomorrow in Cancer. What took place in that 6 months for you, okay? So I really want to now get into who this this new moon in Cancer is going to impact most, because I think that's very important, okay? Hold on. Okay, so primary impact definitely is going to be cardinal energy. And cardinal signs, okay, is important because the fixed moon activates all 4 cardinal signs. So it is most strongly affected with those planets placements, I would say, in Cancer. If you have your sun, moon, rising in Cancer, Capricorn, sun, moon, rising, Aries, sun, moon, rising, Libra, sun, moon, rising. We are the initiators. And you know, this energy requires us, this lunation requires us to initiate, okay? So we are the cardinal signs to do so. So this is going to strongly impact those cardinal signs the most. Your sun, moon, rising placements in these signs, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra. Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra. This lunation is likely to feel more personal and noticeable. Like I said yesterday, it hit a sister, you know what I'm saying? But I had to get in alignment today, and it was crazy because I knew I needed to do what Jupiter was asking me to do, okay? Get in alignment, and I'm here. Hence the reason why you see me today, because I was going to cancel. Anyway, Capricorn and Cancer placements. You all... Capricorn, let's say Cancer placements. You guys may feel this emotionally and internally. And I've talked to plenty Cancers today, and definitely it has been somewhat of an emotional, somber moment for them. And it may continue to do so as it reach its peak. And Capricorn placements. You guys may feel this through responsibility, work, or long-term decisions, okay? And this moon kind of highlights the balance between the emotional needs that Cancer has or desires and the external structure and duty that Capricorn embodies, okay? Now, for the Aries and the Libra placements, Aries, your sun, moon, rising, if you have that placement, you may feel tension between personal needs and external demands. Okay, Libra, sun, moon, rising, you may feel shifts around relationships, balance, and emotional boundaries. Okay, and so this moon for you guys, Aries and Libra, is asking, well, actually all cardinal signs in general is asking you to initiate change from a place of emotional clarity, not pressure. Okay, so I would say why this rising sign matters the most. I always say rising signs because when I do these lunations, I am operating from a whole sign house system, tropical zodiac, okay? But your chart might be I use equal house system when I'm doing my personal client sessions, but in predictive astrology, in which I'm doing now, I use whole sign house system. And so when we're looking at our rising signs, we see where the moon kind of lands in your chart, what area of life that is being illuminated, and where emotional closure or growth is occurring. And that's why the rising sign gives the most accurate, practical insight, okay? Now, I'll also say, you know, with that in mind, I would say let's look at this full moon and how it's showing up for you personally, okay? So we're going to get into the rising signs, and then we're going to give you a message individually, okay, what this moon is asking you with these lunation aspects, the aspects to this moon that's asking you. And then I'll give you a tarot message as the card for this particular lunation, okay? And I've picked a tarot card specifically for each rising sign, okay? Now, let's get into it. Let me take a beverage here, my water. Okay. Aries, 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 let's go. Step up, Aries, okay? Let's go ahead and take this all the way through, Aries to Pisces, nonstop. Okay, so I would say here, well, first off, let me do something really quick because a lot of people, you know, don't know their actual rising sign. And so you can go to astro.com to get a natal chart if you have your exact time of birth, of course, your birth date and your city and state of where you were born. You actually can purchase, or no, you can get it free on astro.com and get your natal chart, okay? And so you'll be able to see where your big three is, your sun, your moon, your rising, okay? Now, how to read this moon in your chart, you want to look at the full moon through 3 lenses. The sun sign, that's your purpose and your direction. And if you're looking at this moon through your sun sign, you're asking how does this full moon affect your life direction? What is being illuminated? I guess for the purpose, goals, or identity with the sun. And where are you being asked to realign emotionally with what you're building, okay? Because when you're looking at it from the sun sign, this shows how the moon supports our challenges for a forward path. Now, if you look at your moon sign, that's about your emotions, your family, your inner world. And so you're focusing on emotions, family dynamics, home and personal life, emotional needs, I would say emotional needs and your habits as well, okay, if you're looking at it from a moon perspective, your moon placement, because this moon is especially potent here because it's a Cancer moon, and this lens kind of shows what needs nurturing. You guys, Mercury is killing me. It's in my 3rd house and it's about to go retrograde soon, but it's killing me, okay? And what needs release, where is emotional safety mattering most in your life, okay? And so if you look at that from your sun sign, your moon sign, then cool. That's the area that you would look at it from. But if you're looking at it from the interface with your world, you know, your avatar, your essence of who you are and how you show up, in the world, you look at that through your rising sign, okay? And that's the rising sign that I'll be sharing with us tonight. While you do need to look at all 3, if you don't know your rising sign, definitely look at your sun and your moon. But you can look at all 3 because you may gain something from those areas that I said that they, represent. Okay. Now, as far as the rising sign, that's important because this is where the full moon is showing up in your lived experience. Which area of life out of the 12 houses in the zodiac that's being activated and how this energy plays out day to day. So that's the most accurate way to follow the chart and the planetary placements and their transits is by looking at your rising sign, because that'll give you a good idea, a more accurate idea of what's being playing out, okay? And so you can think of the rising sign as your interface, with the world, how life meets you and where events tend to manifest. So this is why we use rising signs for the practical breakdown, okay? Now, while I recommend looking at all 3, each placements tell a different story. The sun is showing your direction, the moon is showing your emotional processing, and your rising sign is showing real world expression, okay? So I think when you look at all 3 together, you get a fuller picture of what's being felt, what's being clarified, and where change is actually happening. And so now that we have that, I do want to talk about who feels this moon mostly strongly, because this is the Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, especially if these are your sun, moon, rising signs. This is something that you're probably going to feel more than the others, okay? Now, with that said, with I think we need to look at the full moon, how it's showing up for you personally. And now is where we begin to discuss the rising sign. So Aries, I'm sorry to have you waiting on stage for me, but Aries rising, this full moon is going to be activating your fourth house. Okay. Your fourth house is about home, roots, living situation, private life, your emotional foundation. And so the opposite of the moon is going to be the sun. That's Capricorn. That's your 10th house. So that's your career, your reputation, your public role, authority, long-term goals, okay? And so this full moon is kind of lighting up your home career axis. So that's very important that you know that. In addition, I would say the main theme here is stability that starts at home. So this lunation kind of pushes you, Aries rising, to strengthen the foundation beneath everything you're building. And if the foundation is shaky, nothing else feels right, okay? It's nothing like that to occur. Cancer moon, okay? If the foundation is solid, your 10th house goals become easier to carry, okay? So I think that's important. So look at the 4th house. I'll drop an astrological chart in the comment section of this video so you guys can get an idea. But Aries rising, this moon is activating your 4th house and your 10th house axis, okay? 4th house is where to be, but it's definitely going to impact the opposing zodiac, which is Capricorn, Capricorn for you, okay? Now, in addition to that, I think what's important is what this moon may bring up for you, Aries rising, and these are definitely surface level possibilities. You want to keep these as themes and not promises, because I'm not looking at your specific natal chart, and so it depends on the degrees and how your chart is set up that will determine the exact house that this is playing out. So this is more so an idea of some surface level possibilities, okay? So for you, Aries rising, with this 4th house activation, you may, have some home decisions where you move, renovate, reorganize, downsize or upgrade, or have a new living plan, okay? You may have some family dynamics that need boundaries, reconciliation, emotional truth, caretaking roles, maybe ancestral lineage themes, like what are you done carrying? What are you choosing to honor? Maybe you're dealing with inner security things where your nervous system is impacted, where you need rest, safety, and emotional regulation, okay? And so with the opposite of the 4th house is your 10th house, where the sun sits in Capricorn. And so this full moon is also showing you what career demands are draining your personal life, what public responsibilities need boundaries, and what success means if you're not emotionally okay while achieving it, okay? Because there needs to be a work, life, home balance. Now, what this message is for you, Aries rising, is you can't build a strong public life on a neglected private life, okay? This moon is asking you to protect your space, protect your peace, like it's part of your success plan. And if you want to be bolder with it, I would say your style, if your home life is chaotic, Aries rising, your growth to your goals is going to really feel heavier. So you really want to fix the base, okay, and the rest starts moving. Now, how Jupiter changes this for you, Aries rising? Jupiter is supporting the Cancer moon, and it is exalted in Cancer. And in the biggest story, you're teaching growth that's coming through security, prosperity that's tied to what supports you emotionally, Aries rising. What expands now should feel protected, not stressful, okay? And so because Jupiter is retrograde in your framework, benefits may kind of show some inner clarity first. Decisions get confirmed, over weeks. So it's not going to be instant for you because it's in retrograde right now. So you really want to watch for timing-wise, 2 to 4 weeks, where you might see signs and signals as it relates to home shifts, family conversations, and emotional clarity. Up to 6 months, you may see the bigger move or the result, especially if something was seeded around late June, okay? Now, Three of Cups here, wrap up for you. And this is your closing card message, okay? I chose the Deviant Moon Tarot deck for you, Aries rising, because you know the deck is deep, okay? It doesn't soften emotions. It kind of tells the truth. And this full moon in Cancer is about honest feelings around family, home, and belonging, okay? So for you, Aries rising, the Deviant Moon Tarot deck is this. And this is the card, okay? And so basically, the core meaning is your support system, you know, celebration, community, emotional relief, and shared joy. And so I would say how to apply this to your 4th house, Aries rising, is you don't have to carry the home family stress alone, you know. Lean on your trusted circle. Reconnect with people who feel like family, you know. Create a safe emotional container, even if it's a small one. Okay, celebrate progress, not perfection. Okay, because your medicine right now is community, not isolation. Let the right people pour back into you while you begin to rebuild your foundation. Okay, and I would say stop trying to be strong in private and successful in public with no support. Let people love you. Aries rising. Okay, all right. So that's Aries rising. So now that we kind of covered you guys and the 4th, 10th house axis, let's move next to where this full moon is landing in your chart, okay? So let me see, okay, so that's that. All right. So I would say, if you can definitely focus on just kind of accepting support, okay? That's what's going to be really important, you know, your community, your support system. Do not stay in isolation right now, Aries rising, because Cancer moon is trying to bring you your soul tribe, you know, and that is going to help put you in a position where people are going to pour into you. That's going to help you build the foundation that you need, okay? Or rebuild, depending on how that plays out for you. Okay, now we're going to go to Taurus rising. Taurus rising, step up, please, step up. Taurus risings, this full moon in Cancer is impacting your 3rd house, okay? And we're going to focus on the axis itself, and across from the 3rd house is the 9th house. So your Cancer is in the 3rd house, Taurus rising, your Capricorn is in the 9th house, 13 degrees, okay? So this full moon is activating the communication and the belief axis. 3rd house is communication, your belief system, or the belief house, the house of God, the 9th house, okay? And so I would say it's more so about how you think, speak, and share information in shaping your future path. And so this moon is asking you, Taurus rising, to get emotionally honest about what you're saying and what you're holding back. Pay attention to conversations, messages, and exchanges, okay? Recognize that your voice carries more weight than you realize right now. Because this moon activating the 3rd house, there's a potential for, and these are predictions, not predictions, these are potential themes. So you may have some important conversations or realizations. You may experience some shifts in communication patterns, sibling or close family dynamics, learning and teaching, writing, speaking, news that lands emotionally. Redefining how you express your needs, you know, because this moon is asking you, Taurus rising, are you communicating from safety or from habit? Okay. Now, the Capricorn sun being in the opposite of the 3rd house for you, the moon, this moon is also showing you how your daily thoughts shape your long-term decision and direction, so to speak, and where outdated beliefs no longer match who you are becoming. And this also is showing the difference between what you've been taught and what you actually know now. So this is about mental alignment with your future self, Okay, Taurus rising. So your words are building your future right now, and you really, really want to choose them carefully and also consciously, because this moon isn't about talking more. It's about talking more authentic, okay, more truer, if you will. And if something feels emotionally heavy to say, that's likely where the growth is, right there, okay? So push forward, Taurus rising, okay? Now, I would say how Jupiter is going to support you during this time. With Jupiter supporting this moon, you may experience some conversations that can open some doors, some emotional honesty that brings opportunity, learning or sharing knowledge that becomes expansive. And you might have some connections made now that may grow over time. Because Jupiter is retrograde, its insights come first, right? Outward movement follows later. So by March 11th and beyond, this is when you should see a shift in that, if not sooner, okay? Now, and I definitely would say, 2 to 4 weeks from now, you should probably see, meaningful conversations show up, clarity, news, realizations, and then up to 6 months, it will kick in where your shifts will occur in your mindset that could redefine your path, okay? And this is for Taurus rising. So your 3 of Cups, okay? I chose for you is definitely, what did I choose for you? Yeah, hold on. I'm tripping. Okay. The Everyday Enchanted Tarot, or the Enchanted Everyday Tarot. This is for you, Cancer rising, okay? So, let me see something really quick. Okay, I chose this for you, Cancer risings, because it's emotionally luminous, intuitive, and reflective. So the first house, Cancer, is about identity and emotional presence, okay? And so this here is definitely a good deck to have, okay? I love it. It's more of a personal deck than a deck that you would read for others if you are a reader, okay? So with this said, this is more so about, supportive conversations, connecting with people who get you, sharing ideas in safe spaces, collaboration through communication, celebrating being heard and understood, okay? And this could look like reconnecting with siblings or close friends. Maybe you have group chats that actually uplift you, celebrating a win related to writing, learning, or speaking, okay? Or finding joy through dialogue rather than isolation, because your joy right now comes through connection and conversation. So let yourself be supported, and don't underestimate the power of sharing your truth, okay? In addition, I think you don't have to figure this out alone. Just talk it out, all right? So now that we got Cancer rising out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to Gemini rising and see where this full moon is landing for you guys. Gemini risings, please step to the stage here, because this full moon in Cancer is going to be impacting your 2nd house. Opposite of that will be your 8th house, okay? And so this full moon in Cancer is activating your self-worth, your shared resources, access. Now, I think the main thing for you guys, Gemini risings, is your relationship with security, money, and self-worth is coming into an emotional focus right now. So this moon is asking you, Gemini risings, to reassess what you truly value, what makes you feel what makes you feel safe materially and emotionally, and where you may be over-relying on others or over-relying on others or undervaluing yourself, okay? Now, I'll also want to say this moon may activate areas in the 2nd house that possible things could play out, like income or financial clarity, redefining personal worth, changes in spending, earning, or saving habits, emotional attachments to money or possessions, and also realizing what is and isn't worth your energy. Because Gemini rising, this moon is asking you, do you feel secure because you trust yourself or because you're dependent on something external? Okay. Now, with the opposite axis being where the sun is in Capricorn, that's in the 8th house. Okay. And the sun is highlighting for you shared finances, debts, taxes, obligations, energetic or emotional entanglements, and power dynamics around giving and receiving. Because this full moon is going to bring awareness to where you are investing your resources and what needs restructuring so it's fair and sustainable. Okay, Gemini risings. So your value doesn't need to be proven. It just needs to be honored. And this moon is encouraging you to set healthier financial and energetic boundaries. Stop underpricing yourself emotionally or materially, and choose stability that's rooted in self-trust. Okay? Now, how Jupiter is going to support you, Gemini rising, I would say you may have some opportunities for growth that may come through valuing yourself more, financial or resource-related clarity that expands over time, maybe some confidence that increases as you align with what truly matters for you, Gemini risings, because Jupiter in retrograde, so the insight comes first, right, and the external results follow later. And that could occur between 2 to 4 weeks where you have realizations around money, worth, or priorities, and up to 6 months where you may see some tangible shifts in how you support yourself or share your resources. Okay, now the 3 of Cups card for you is the Modern Witch Tarot. Modern Witch Tarot. I love this. This is one of my favorite decks. Okay, you read it upright. You don't have to read it in reversal. Okay, because it's really all about the cards that surround it that gives you the actual context of it. But nonetheless, for you, Gemini risings, this is about shared resources and emotional support. You're celebrating financial or personal wins with others, a community that helps stabilize you, collaboration that brings material or emotional relief. And this can show up as pooling resources, celebrating a financial milestone, feeling supported rather than burdened, recognizing that abundance grows when they're shared consciously, okay? Because your joy comes from recognizing your worth and allowing support without guilt, because you don't have to do everything alone to be valuable, Gemini risings, okay? I think that's very important. You do not have to do everything alone to be valuable, okay? So we're going to go ahead and move into Cancer risings and see how this full moon is affecting you, Cancer risings. You can come up to the stage, Cancer risings, Sun, Moon risings, that is. This full moon in Cancer will be activating your first house. This is your moon, okay? And the opposite of that is the 7th house in Capricorn. So this full moon for you, Cancer rising, is going to light up your identity and your relationships. And this is a deeply personal lunation for you. So I would say the main themes for you, you are coming into clear emotional awareness of who you are becoming, okay? In addition, how others relate to that. Now, this moon is asking you to honor your emotional truth, recognize how much you've changed, notice, which relationships can meet you where you are now. This is about self-definition, not self-sacrifice. And this moon also is going to be activating your first house. So you may see possible themes play out like emotional clarity about your needs, a shift in how you see yourself, changes in self-expression or boundaries, physical or energetic awareness, body health, presence-wise, a desire to be seen and understood, authentically, oh Lord Jesus, help me. Mercury is in my 3rd house and my language has been messed up, okay? Understand yourself in an authentic manner, okay? Because this moon is asking you, Cancer risings, are you showing up as your true self or as who you think others need you to be? Now, if you look at the opposite of that, where the sun sits in Capricorn, that is in your 7th house at the same time. So that highlights partnerships, commitments, contracts and agreements, and how responsibilities is shared in relationships. So this full moon can reveal which relationships are balanced, which ones require renegotiation, and where you may be carrying more than your share. So the message I would say for you is you don't have to lose yourself to keep the peace, because this moon is your moon, and it is encouraging you to prioritize emotional authenticity, set boundaries without guilt, let relationships adjust to the real you. Because if a connection cannot evolve with you, that information becomes clear now, okay? Now, how Jupiter is going to support you, Cancer rising. Jupiter is going to be supporting you by confidence that grows through self-trust, emotional honesty that opens doors, self-care that become a source of expansion, okay? Because Jupiter in retrograde is that internal validation that comes first and that external affirmation that follows later. And you can see timing-wise, 2 to 4 weeks where emotional clarity, shifts in self-expression occur, and up to 6 months where you see noticeable changes in how others respond to you, Cancer risings. Okay, now your 3 of Cups here is the Light Seers Tarot deck, okay? And so for you, it's about celebrating yourself, being supportive for who you are, reconnecting with joy, chosen family, and emotional affirmations. And this can look like feeling welcome as your authentic self, receiving love without overgiving, celebrating a personal milestone, allowing yourself to be the center of care, not just the provider, okay? Because your joy comes from honoring yourself and letting the right people celebrate you. Because you don't have to earn love by shrinking, Cancer risings, okay? So that's your message there, and we'll go in and get to the next rising sign, which is Leo rising. Leo, Sun, Moon rising, please step to the stage. Please step to the stage. Leo, this full moon in Cancer is going to be impacting or activating your 12th house. And the opposite of that is your 6th house. So this full moon is going to be about rest and routine, okay? Bringing awareness to what's happening behind the scenes versus what's demanded in your day-to-day, okay? So I would say the main themes for you, Leo risings, is definitely rest, release, and emotional processing before your next chapter of visibility begins. Because this full moon in Cancer is asking you, Leo risings, to slow down, listen inward, release emotional baggage that you've been carrying quietly. Honor the need for retreat without guilt, because this is not a public moon for you. It's a private, restorative one, because we have the 12th house here. Now, why this moon may activate, what I would say this moon may activate for you, possible themes for you, Leo, Sun, Moon risings, is you may have some emotional exhaustion or burnout, that happens before you come into awareness. Some old habits, patterns, or fears that are definitely ready to be released. The need for solitude, sleep, or spiritual grounding. Intuitive insights, dreams, or subconscious clarity with that 12th house energy there. And then I would say recognizing where you've been overextending without replenishment. Because for you, Leo rising, this moon is asking you, what do you need to release in order to feel lighter? Now, if we go to your opposing sign on the same axis where the sun is in Capricorn, that's your 6th house. Okay, and that's highlighting work routines, health and wellness, daily responsibilities, service and obligations, okay? And so this full moon could expose where your routines are unsustainable, where duty has kind of overtaken well-being, and what needs restructuring so that you don't burn out. You got to slow down. So I would say you don't have to be visible all the time to be valuable, Leos. Okay? This moon is encouraging you to rest without justification. Release what drains you quietly and tend to your inner world before taking on more responsibility, okay? Because what you let go of now is going to create space for that future vitality because you're tired right now. And so how Jupiter is going to support you during this lunation, Leo rising, is you could get healing, that come through compassion toward yourself, emotional release that create long-term strength. And stepping back now will protect your future growth. Because Jupiter in retrograde for you, Leo rising, is about insight and healing that happens internally first. Because it's retrograde. That's when you go inward, reviewing, reevaluating, revising, renewing, okay? All of the reads that you could think of. And once that occurs, when it goes direct, that outward momentum builds later for you, Leo risings. And so within 2 to 4 weeks, you could probably see some emotional release, some clarity, and that need for rest. And over the next 6 months, you could see some improved health, routines, and energy levels, okay? So your 3 of Cups card I picked is the Gilded Royale, okay? Gilded Royale. And this is the 3 of Cups for you, Leo rising. And so for you, this is about quiet support systems, okay? Trusted inner circles, emotional healing through safe connection, celebrating progress privately and publicly. This may look like leaning on a close friend or a confidant, finding joy in small, intimate moments, reconnecting with people who feel emotionally safe, and acknowledging healing even if no one else sees it, okay? Because Leo risings, your joy comes from knowing that you're supported even when you step out of the spotlight. It's okay to heal in private, Leo risings, okay? Now, we're going to go to Virgo risings. Virgos, please step up. Sun, Moon, rising, Virgos, okay? Step up because this full moon is activating your, I would say your 11th house. Yes. And the opposite of that will be your 5th house, Capricorn, okay? So this full moon is activating, I would say, the community and your creativity axis. So the main theme for you that could be playing out is belonging, alignment, and shared purpose. And I think this moon is asking you to honestly look at who you're connected to and where you're investing your time and energy socially, whether your current circles support you, and who you're becoming, okay? I think that's very important because this is about finding your people and letting go of groups that no longer fit, Virgo risings. What this moon may activate for you in the 11th house, possible themes for you, Virgo rising, could be shifts in friendships or social groups, clarity around community involvement, redefining long-term goals or aspirations, and stepping back from spaces that feel draining or misaligned. Not only that, recognizing where collaboration feels nourishing versus obligatory, okay? Because this full moon is asking you, Leo rising, Virgo risings, do you feel supported where you're showing up, or are you just feeling a role? Okay, it's a very good question to ask yourself. Now, going to the opposite axis for you, that's your Capricorn house of in the 5th house where the sun is. At the same time, you know that the moon is in the 11th house where the moon is, okay? So you could have some creative self-expression, some joy, pleasure, and fun around this time, Virgo risings, some romance or some passion projects. You also, I would say, where you may be taking yourself too serious, you may be highlighted on areas around where you may be taking yourself too seriously. Because this full moon is going to expose where creativity has been put on the back burner, how social obligations may be crowding out joy, how social, definitely your social interactions. So you definitely want to make sure that, okay? definitely the need to reclaim play, expression, and heart-centered pursuits. So for you Virgo risings, okay, you are allowed to, and I hope I didn't call you all Leo again, but you are allowed to enjoy your life, not just manage it. And this moon really is encouraging you Virgo risings to choose communities that celebrate you. Prioritize joy alongside responsibility and stop over-functioning in spaces that don't pour back into you, because belonging should feel mutual, not earned through effort alone, okay? And so Jupiter is going to support you, Virgo risings, okay, in areas where the right connections grow naturally. You're going to probably experience supportive communities that form over time. Maybe long-term goals that become clearer through aligned relationships. Because Jupiter being in retrograde for now is discernment needs to come first, okay? And then once you've had that, once it goes direct, expansion follows, once alignment is clear. So for you timing-wise, I would say Virgo risings, between 2 to 4 weeks, you may have realizations around friendships, goals, or group dynamics. Up to 6 months, you may see some shifts in community involvement or creative fulfillment, okay? So with that said, we'll get into your Three of Cups message and how this Three of Cups kind of speaks to you, Virgo risings, okay? And that would be the Handle deck. This is one of my prized possessions right here, the Handle deck. And the Three of Cups is this for you, Virgo rising. So this is about joyful collaboration, celebrating wins with friends, being supported by your community, reconnecting with reconnecting with shared joy and mutual appreciation. And this may show up as group celebrations, supportive friends stepping forward to assist you. Feeling seen and valued in social spaces, and also remembering that community can be a source of joy, not obligation, okay? Because your joy is going to come from sharing life with people who truly celebrate you. You don't have to carry everything alone, Virgo risings. Let your community show up, okay? So, beautiful message for you, Virgo risings. Now that we got Virgos out of the way, Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, step to the plate, Libra risings, Sun, Moon, Libra risings, okay? This is going to be impacting and activating your 10th house of visibility. Not only that, the opposite of the Cancer, 10th house for you, Libra rising, is your 4th house, Capricorn, okay? And so this full moon, I would say, is going to activate the career and the home axis. And so the main theme for you, Libra rising, is about public direction versus the private needs. So this moon is asking you to look at how you're showing up publicly, what responsibilities or roles that you're carrying, and whether your outer life reflects your inner reality. Because this is about alignment between who you are at home and who you are in the world. Okay, now what this moon may activate for you, Libra risings, at the 10th house moon, possible themes could be career visibility or recognition. Like I said, I'm a Libra rising. I'm getting interviewed by the parent or the bigger magazine now. Okay, I can't wait to share that with you all. But that's kind of one of the things that's playing out for me. Libra risings, you also may have changes in professional direction. Redefining success, having some emotional responses that are tied to reputation or authority. In addition to that, you may be realizing which roles feel fulfilling and which ones feel heavy, because this moon for you, Libra rising, is asking you, does the life that you're building actually support you emotionally? Okay. Now then, if you look at the opposite of Cancer, your 10th house, it's your 4th house, and that's where the sun is, in Capricorn. So at the same time, the sun is highlighting home and family responsibilities, emotional foundations, living situations or private obligations, and the need for structure within your personal life. Because this full moon is going to reveal how private stress affects your public performance, okay? And where boundaries between work and home needs adjusting. Also, what kind of foundation you actually need to thrive in. That could be something that you might consider as well, Libra risings. I do want to tell you, Libra risings, that you don't have to choose between success and emotional well-being, because this moon is going to encourage you to redefine success in a way that supports your inner life, release roles that cost you your peace, okay, and build a public life that kind of rests on a solid, supportive foundation, because balance starts at home. Okay, now how Jupiter is going to support you, Libra rising. This Jupiter is going to support this moon by recognition that's coming through authenticity, professional growth that aligns with your emotional truth, and leadership that's rooted in care that becomes visible, okay? Because Jupiter in retrograde for you, Libra risings, being here is actually that internal validation comes first, right? You have to validate yourself first. Once Jupiter goes direct, okay, that outer acknowledgement follows later, okay? Now, in terms of timing for you, Libra rising, within 2 to 4 weeks, you could see clarity around career or personal roles. And up to 6 months, you could see shifts in work-life balance or professional direction, okay? Now, for you, Libra risings, your 3 of Cups card is going to be the traditional right away, okay? And I'm like, really? Okay, anyway, Spirit told me, I do my meditation. I try to figure out which one resonates with each rising sign, but nonetheless, Spirit said right away for Libra rising. So this is your deck, their card, okay? This is just a regular right away tarot deck, okay? This is about celebrating professional milestones, recognition from colleagues or peers, support within your work environment, and shared success rather than solo pressure, okay? And this may look like being acknowledged for your efforts, collaborative wins, feeling appreciated in your professional space, and reconnecting with your joy in your career, because your joy comes from building success that's shared and supported, okay? Because you don't have to carry your achievements alone, Libra risings, okay? So with that said, we'll pivot to the next zodiac, which is Scorpio risings. Scorpio, Sun, Moon risings, please come to the stage. Come, okay? And so this full moon in Cancer for you, Scorpio rising, is activating your 9th house. 9th house. Now, across from your 9th house sits the Sun in Capricorn, and that's the 3rd house for you. So this full moon in Cancer is activating belief and communication axis. Scorpio risings, okay? Now, the main theme, I would say, for you Scorpio risings is your world view is evolving and your voice needs to catch up, okay? This full moon in Cancer is asking you to examine what you believe, what you stand for, and how those beliefs shape your decisions and your conversations. This is about alignment between what you know internally and what you express outwardly. If they don't match, it's going to be a problem, okay? So it's about alignment. Now, what this moon actually may activate for you in the 9th house, possible themes, I would say, 9th house, you could have some shifts in your beliefs or philosophy. There may be desire for meaning, truth, and understanding. Scorpio risings, you may have some spiritual or educational pursuits that you want to take up. You may have some travel or plans that involve distance or expansion. You also may be questioning old narratives that no longer fit you, because this moon is asking you, Scorpio risings, does what you believe still reflect who you are becoming? Okay. Now, with the opposite zodiac on the same axis, the Capricorn Sun sits in your 3rd house at the same time, okay? And that Sun is highlighting communication, thinking patterns, conversations with siblings or close contacts, and how you share information day to day. So this moon is going to reveal where your words may be outdated. This moon is going to reveal where clarity is needed in communication, okay? And definitely high responsibility around speaking up may feel heavier than before, okay? Now, the message for you overall, Scorpio risings, is you are allowed to change your mind and speak from your updated truth, okay? Because this moon is going to be encouraging you to honor evolving beliefs, communicate with intention rather than obligation, and stop editing yourself to maintain comfort for others, okay? Growth means letting your perspective expand. Now, how you're going to be supported with Jupiter here, Scorpio risings. Jupiter is going to support this moon by helping you learn and also truth seeking, okay? Those are rewards that you can probably expect. Learning and truth seeking. You might have some honest conversations that open doors, new perspectives that lead to long-term growth. Because Jupiter in retrograde, the insight develops internally first, and then the external shifts follows once clarity is solid, once Jupiter goes direct, March 11th and beyond. Now, timing-wise for you, Scorpio risings, I would say between 2 and 4 weeks after this lunation occurs, you may have some realizations around beliefs, learning, or direction, okay? Up to 6 months, you may see some changes in your communication style or your world view, okay? So that's for you, Scorpio rising. So your Three of Cups message is the Comet deck, okay? The Comet Tarot. I love this deck, gold foil, and this is the Comet deck. Now, this is about shared learning experiences, celebrating growth with others, connecting with people who expand your perspective, and joy through teaching, learning, or cultural exchange. So this may show up as group classes or spiritual communities, celebrating academic or personal breakthroughs, feeling supported in your search for meaning, okay, as well as joy found through expanding your mind, because your joy is going to come from expanding your world and sharing that growth with others, because you're meant to outgrow your circle. I would say you're not meant to outgrow your circle alone, Scorpio risings, okay? So that is your tarot card here. And next we're going to go to Sagittarius risings, Sun, Moon risings for Sagittarius. Please come to the stage. Come. Step up. And we're going to talk about this full moon in Cancer that's going to be activating your 8th house, okay? And then we're going to look at the entire axis. Across from the 8th house is Capricorn, which is your 2nd house. So this full moon activates that shared resources and the personal value access. Now, the main theme for you, Sagittarius rising, is emotional honesty around intimacy, trust, and shared obligations. And this moon is asking you to look closely at what you're sharing with others, whether that's emotionally, financially, or energetically, okay? Where dependencies feel supportive or draining, so to speak. And how secure you feel relying on yourself versus relying on others. Because this is about cleaning up entanglements so power can be reclaimed. Sagittarius risings, Sun, Moon, and risings, okay? Now, what this moon may activate for you in the 8th house, you may have some possible themes around shared finances, debts, taxes, or inheritances, emotional bonds that require renegotiation, trust issues or vulnerability coming to the surface, healing around power dynamics or control. Yeah, because this moon is asking you, definitely, Sagittarius rising, this moon is asking you, I would say, is this exchange balanced or are you over invested? Okay. Now, I think that's important. When you look at the opposite of where this moon is going to be playing out, that axis, that's your 2nd house, where Capricorn is, where the sun is. And at the same time, the sun is highlighting your personal income, your self-worth, your values, your material stability. And the full moon is going to reveal where you need stronger boundaries around money or energy, okay? How your sense of worth affects what you tolerate, and the need to ground yourself more firmly in what you can provide for yourself. Okay, Sagittarius rising. So the message for you overall for this lunation, full moon in Cancer, is you grow when your resources, emotional and material, are aligned with your values, okay? Because this moon is going to encourage you to release unequal exchanges, return to reclaiming your power, strengthen self-reliance where needed, and choose depth without depletion. Because true intimacy doesn't cost your stability, okay? Now, you're going to be supported by Jupiter, Sagittarius rising, and Jupiter is going to support this moon by maybe emotional healing that becomes expansive for you, releasing old entanglements that create room for growth. Deeper bonds form, once boundaries are clear. Because Jupiter retrograde for you during this time, there's insight and emotional clarity that's going to come first. And then restructuring is going to follow over time, okay? Now, in terms of timing, I would say between 2 and 4 weeks for you, Sagittarius risings, you may get some realizations around trust, money, or emotional bonds. Up to 6 months, you may see some changes in how you share your resources or your power, okay? Now, your 3 of Cups message for you, Sagittarius, is going to be the Orisha deck, okay? That is this deck here, the Orisha deck, and that is this 3 of Cups. Now, this here is for you emphasizing emotional healing through trusted connections, support during transitions, shared relief after releasing heavy burdens, celebrating freedom from old entanglements. This may look like feeling lighter after honest conversations, support from friends during emotional shifts, celebrating breakthroughs around trust or healing, and finding joy, after letting something go. Because your joy comes from releasing what weighs you down and letting the right people support you through the transition. Or I would say you don't have to carry everything alone to be strong, okay? Sagittarius rising. That's your message there. Now, Capricorns, where are my Cappies? Capricorn risings, okay? This full moon in Cancer is going to be definitely impacting or activating, I'd say, your 7th house. And about opposite of that is your 1st house in Capricorn, okay? Now, for you, this full moon is activating the axis of self and relationships. Now, the main theme for you Capricorn risings is there may be some relational truth and emotional accountability. And this moon is asking you to look closely at how you show up in relationships, what you expect from others, whether your partnerships reflect who you are now. Because this is not about compromise at your own expense. It's about mutuality, okay? Now, what this moon may activate for you in the 7th house, possible themes could be clarity around partnerships, where it's romantic, business, or close one-to-one, emotional truth that surface in relationships, renegotiating agreements or expectations, and realizing where balance is missing. In addition, I would say deciding what kind of support you actually need from others, okay? Because is this relationship, this moon is asking you, is this relationship meeting where you are? Is it meeting where you are or where you should be, okay? So this moon is asking you, definitely, Capricorn risings, is this relationship meeting you where you are or where you should be? Now, you're the Capricorn sun, you're a Capricorn. It's in your 1st house, Capricorn rising, okay? Now, For you, at the same time, the sun is shining on your identity, your presence, how you assert yourself, your sense of authority and direction, okay? And this full moon definitely is highlighting the difference between who you are becoming and how others still see you. The need to lead with authenticity and not obligation. Personal responsibility for your own emotional well-being, okay? Because the message for you, Capricorn risings, is you don't have to carry relationships alone. This moon is really encouraging you to allow others to meet you emotionally. Stop over-functioning in partnerships and choose relationships that support your growth, not just your responsibilities. Partnerships should feel supportive, not heavy, okay? Now, you will be supported by Jupiter, Capricorn risings, and Jupiter supports this moon by maybe having relationships that can grow when emotional honesty is present, support that arrives when you allow it, healthier dynamics, that form over time. Because with Jupiter being in retrograde for you, Capricorn risings, that clarity about what you need comes first. The relational shifts unfold gradually, okay? And so in terms of timing, you may exceed these shifts for you, Capricorn rising, between 2 to 4 weeks, where you may have realizations around partnerships or agreements. And up to 6 months, you may see changes in how you relate or who you commit to, okay? Now, for you, Capricorn risings, your 3 of Cups message, it was funny when Spirit said the Santa Marta, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, okay? But this is the deck, okay? Santa Marta. Do I have the box with me? No. Anyway, this is 3 of Cups for you, okay? Now, 3 of Cups is basically about celebrating connection, shared joy with relationships, emotional reciprocity, partnerships that involve friendships, not just duty, okay? So for Capricorn risings, this may show up as feeling supported by a partner, celebrating relational milestones, reconnecting with joy in close bonds, and choosing relationships that uplift you. Because Capricorn risings, your joy comes from relationships that celebrate you, not just rely on you, okay? You deserve partnerships, not pressure. Okay, Capricorns? Y'all go hard in the paint. Okay? No. Don't do that. Okay? You need relationships that celebrate you, not rely on you. Okay? Now we're going to pivot to the next zodiac. Aquarius rising, Sun, Moon risings, please come to the stage. Come. Okay, we're going to talk about this full moon in Cancer and where it's in activating your chart, and it's going to be your 6th house. Okay, where Cancer sits, and that axis is going to be opposite of the 6th house. Is the 12th house where your Capricorn house is. So for you, Cancer risings, the full moon is activating the axis of daily life and inner world. So the main thing for you, Aquarius rising, is emotional well-being through better daily habits and boundaries. And this full moon, not new moon, this full moon in Cancer is asking you to look at how your routines affect your emotional health, whether your day-to-day responsibilities are sustainable, and what unseen stress that you are carrying quietly. Because this is about alignment between how you live and how you feel. Okay, now the opposite of that, what this moon may activate in your 6th house, not the opposite yet, but what this moon may activate in your 6th house, there may be some possible themes that play out, like changes in your work routines or your responsibilities, attention to physical and emotional health, burnout awareness, okay, and reworking schedules to include rest, emotional responses that are tied to service or obligation. This moon is asking you, Aquarius risings, does your daily life actually support your well-being? Okay. Now, the opposite of that is going to be the 12th house. Okay. And that is the opposite where the sun is. Capricorn sun, that's your Capricorn house, the 12th house for you, Aquarius rising. And at the same time, the sun is highlighting subconscious patterns, hidden stress, the need for solitude or retreat, emotional baggage that's ready to be released. Then this full moon is revealing what's draining you behind the scenes, where you've been neglecting rest, and how your inner pressure is I would say affecting outer productivity. Now, the message for you, Aquarius rising, during this full moon in Cancer transit here is you can't heal what you don't give yourself space to feel, okay? This moon is encouraging you to prioritize emotional and physical health, simplify routines, release guilt around rest, and tend to your inner world as diligently as your outer responsibilities. Because rest is not avoidance, it's maintenance, okay? Aquarius rising, you will be supported by Jupiter, okay? Jupiter is supporting this moon by healing habits that grow over time, emotional awareness that improves the well-being, restructuring routines that creates long-term balance. Because Jupiter retrograde for you is going to have some insight into what needs healing that's going to come first. And then that external change follows gradually once retrograde stops, March 11th and beyond, okay? Now, in addition to that, timing-wise for you, with Aquarius rising this full moon in Cancer, in 2 to 4 weeks, you may see awareness around your health, stress, or routines. And up to 6 months, you may see some sustainable changes in your daily life and your well-being, okay? Now, I'm going to give you your 3 of Cups message. Now, that would be the Hoodoo deck, okay? My very first tarot deck on my birthday. The Hoodoo deck, 3 of Cups, okay? So for you, Aquarius rising, this is about support through teamwork, shared responsibility, joy found in cooperation, okay? Feeding effort, I say, everyday effort, okay? Thriving off of that, definitely, okay? And also feeling appreciated more now, okay? This may look like co-workers stepping up, feeling supported in daily tasks, celebrating small wins, building routines that include connection. Because for you, Aquarius rising, I would say your joy comes from knowing that you don't have to do everything alone, okay? Let's support into your daily life, because I think that's going to really be important for you, Aquarius rising, okay? Now, last and not least, we're going to wrap it up with the Pisces rising. Pisces, sun, moon, rising. Come to the table, come to the stage, come to the front, come, okay? And this full moon in Cancer is activating your 5th house, okay? And across from that is where the sun is in Capricorn in your 11th house. So this is going to be activating the axis of joy and community, okay? Now, I would say the main theme for you, Pisces rising, is reclaiming joy, creativity, and emotional expression without losing yourself in others. So this moon in Cancer is asking you to reconnect with what makes you feel alive, what brings pleasure and inspiration, and where your heart wants to lead, not just your sense of duty, okay? This is about allowing joy to be purposeful, not indulgent, but purposeful. Oh my gosh, this Mercury in my 3rd house is just not helping me at all, okay? Anyway, I'm really having a hard time doing this transit. Now, as far as the opposite, well, let's just say, with this moon activating your 5th house, there may be some themes where you have some creative inspiration or some renewed passion, romantic clarity or emotional expression, reconnection with hobbies, art, or play, matters that involve children or your inner child healing, I'd say. And also realizing where joy has been postponed too long, okay? Because I would say Pisces rising, Are you allowing yourself to enjoy your life, or are you always waiting for permission? Okay. And in addition to that, I would say the Capricorn sun being in your 11th house, the sun is highlighting friendships and social groups, long-term goals and responsibilities, obligations to community or collective roles. This full moon is going to reveal work group expectations may be limiting your joy, how social obligations can crowd out personal fulfillment, and the need to balance contribution with self-expression, okay? So the message for you, Pisces rising, is your joy is not a distraction. It is a compass, okay? And this moon is encouraging you to take your creative desires seriously. Stop minimizing what lights you up, okay? And let joy guide your next chapter, because you don't need to sacrifice happiness to be meaningful. Now, you will be supported by Jupiter, Pisces rising, okay? And that could look like creative expression that expands over time, joy becoming a source of growth and opportunity, emotional fulfillment that feeds long-term purpose. Because Jupiter being in retrograde for you right now, Pisces rising, there's some inspiration that deepens internally first, and then that outer expression follows naturally, okay? Now, in terms of timing, between 2 to 4 weeks for you, Pisces rising, you may have some emotional clarity around joy, romance, or creativity. And up to 6 months, you may see some renewed passion or creative momentum, okay? Pisces rising. Your 3 of Cups message is the same as the last time and the same as, I would say, I forgot which other zodiac had this. This is for you, Pisces rising, okay? Now, I would say for this right here, I'm sorry. Let's see here. This is the Enchanted Tarot, okay? So I would say this definitely, now my dang on app want to just shut down, not shut down, but goodness gracious, I ain't got time for this technology. Are you gonna, I might have to close this and open it back up. Give me a second. This is so unfair. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Goodness gracious, my computer is trying to install and wants me to reboot. Okay, it's 11:11 here. So let me wrap up. Okay, so basically, with regards to your 3 of Cups message, Pisces rising, okay. Yeah, I wrote down your Enchanted Tarot message. There we go. Okay, so this is for you, Pisces rising. This is about shared joy through creativity, celebration of self-expression, playful reconnection, emotional validation through fun and art. Okay, this may look like celebrating a creative win, feeling supported in romantic or artistic pursuits, reconnecting with friends through play, and letting joy be communal, not private, okay? Because Pisces rising, your joy grows when you let yourselves be seen and celebrated. You're allowed to have fun and be supportive while doing it, okay? So with that said, thank you all for being here. I want to close this with a affirmation. And first, I just want to thank each and every one of you all for catching the live. I don't think you're here now, but you will be. And I think it's only because the manner in which I went in live, I went in through my business page when I probably should have done the private page and then downloaded it. But nonetheless, you all will see it, okay? But I will close this by saying this full moon in Cancer is going to remind us that growth doesn't have to be harsh to be real, okay? When emotional safety is honored, clarity is going to follow. And when the foundation is solid, everything else has room to rise, okay? This is not a moon of rushing or forcing outcomes. It's a moon of listening, stabilizing, and trusting that what's meant to grow will do so in divine timing, okay? As we move forward from this lunation, we need to remember that emotional nourishment is not a weakness, it's a strategy. So we need to pause, breathe, and just let the energy flow, okay? And with that said, I'll go ahead and leave us with an affirmation. And this is the full moon affirmation that you can use when you are manifesting your full moon lunation ritual, okay? And that is, I honor my emotional needs without guilt. I release what no longer supports my growth. I create safety within myself and my life. I trust the timing of my expansion. What is meant for me unfolds with care and clarity, okay? As above, so below. As within, so without. So mote it be. Ashe, ashe, and ashe, okay? Yo, I have been up since 3 a.m. in the morning, okay? I'm exhausted, but nonetheless, I thank you all for catching the live. Give me till about tomorrow before I plug it into YouTube and put the timestamps and all of the areas in which I discussed, okay? And until then, you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful full moon in Cancer experience. Deuces. Till next time. And we'll be on YouTube next time, okay? I gotta make sure I gotta figure it out first. Bye, y'all.